In a world where trust is shattered and love is tested, one channel dares to uncover the untold stories of heartbreak and betrayal. Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles, where real-life tales of infidelity are unraveled, secrets exposed, and lives forever changed. Join us as we navigate the complex world of relationships, offering support, understanding, and a place for those who have faced the pain of betrayal. Subscribe to Heartbreak Chronicles now, because every story deserves to be told, and every heartbreak deserves to be heard. Story 1. My girlfriend insisted on an open relationship and now wants to close it, but I am having the time of my life. How do I proceed? So me and my GF are both 23 and have been dating for 4 years now. She had an ex before me but is my first in everything. Well, 6 months ago, she said she was looking into having an open relationship and it would be good for the two of us to get some experience that way so we wouldn't get bored of each other. I was very against the idea, but she said there was no other option for her and I didn't want to lose her, so I agreed. We made the rule that we'd tell each other who and when we were hooking up with others, and after 2 days of this starting, she went and slept with her ex. I was kinda sad, and to lift my spirits my friends took me to a club. We danced and enjoyed ourselves there, and joined a girl group. One of them started grinding on me and I took her number. We met up later at my place and had sex and it was so much better. My GF is what one would call a pillow princess. She'd close her eyes and do her best not to moan, just kinda lay there and take it, and it made me uncomfortable, so our sex life dropped. But this girl was wild. She moaned like crazy and really made me feel like she enjoyed me. I had told my GF about her and she just sent a thumbs up emoji and a text that she'd be hooking up with her ex again. It was weird, and it did click to me that she just wanted to mess around with her ex, but I was also having fun and didn't want to close up again. I was feeling confident, handsome, and attractive for the first time in a while, and I realized that she never actually made me feel that way. We started seeing each other less and less. We went from hanging out daily for the first 2 years to 3 or 4 times a week to once a week. One day, we were out at the mall together and she stopped at a store to try out some clothes. I ran into a friend of mine in the store and we started chatting and openly flirting, and it ended with her telling me that she hoped we could meet again soon, in front of my GF. I think on that day she changed a bit. She stopped sending me a text telling me who she was hooking up with, and she said it was because she wasn't hooking up with anyone anymore. We started spending more time together because she wanted to. She started initiating more and started trying out new stuff and generally being more affectionate. I knew this was love bombing, but I enjoyed it, so I didn't really do much. I still took advantage of the open relationship though and would still go out to have fun, and this started irking her. She asked me why I was still with others now that she was giving me all the attention I wanted, and she insinuated that I wanted to cheat on her, which is why I agreed, to which I said I was the reluctant one, and she brought it up. She said she regretted it and she only had one partner and realized he wasn't as good as I was, so she ditched him and now she wants to close the relationship again. I told her what she was like in bed and how I felt terrible around her before, and opening up our relationship brought back my confidence. She started crying and hugged me and said she didn't know that and she'd make up for it with me, and asked me if I was going to leave her. I said it had crossed my mind but I thought not to. She cried harder, then fell asleep, and I realized that I really don't want to close this relationship. I've been feeling attractive and desired for a while now and I really enjoy it. She has said she'll do her best to make me feel like that and said that she loves me and doesn't want me to leave her, and she's also changed a bit, complimenting me and stuff, which makes me feel a bit better. I am actually willing to close the relationship, but I would need a guarantee that she won't go back to being what she was, which I don't really have. So, here I am. Do you guys think it's best to close the relationship? Should I even stay in this relationship? Will she go back to being what she was? Update post to my GF opening up the relationship and then asking to close it. Those who like a long story short, we broke up. Those who like juicy details, here goes. So after making my post I saw that breaking up was my best option, not just because I didn't want to close the relationship but also because she had lied and manipulated me and was very likely doing it again in the form of love bombing. I didn't want to be the shitty guy who breaks up over text. I also didn't want to risk her changing the narrative to paint me in a bad light. So I decided to meet her in a public restaurant with a friend of hers as a reliable witness so she wouldn't be able to slander me later. We were supposed to meet the day before yesterday, but something came up and me and her friend forgot about the date. I arranged for a makeup meeting yesterday, keeping everything the same. Well, yesterday, I arrived at the restaurant and she was already sitting there. She cheerfully waved at me, but her face went from confusion to shock to sadness when she saw I had brought her friend with me. She asked me what the friend was doing there. I said she was just here to verify what happens here at a later date if necessary. She just tilted her head a bit. Well, I told her I was done with her, and not in a good way. I told her off for the manipulation, the clear desire to cheat without having a guilty conscience, and the fact that she thought I wouldn't be able to get anyone. She got defensive and started crying and said it wasn't like that, but I interrupted her and said that was exactly what it was like, and I knew that she had been fooling around with her ex before we opened the relationship. I didn't, and it was a shot in the dark, but it hit its mark. She completely broke down sobbing and said she was sorry and was confused at the time. She said she didn't want to lose me and tried to get me to remember the good times we had. All that did for me was show me how long back our relationship had actually died, and I just said that to her. There was more crying. She said she'd change. I said I hoped she did for the next guy she would be with, but it wouldn't be with me. She said to me that she would keep the relationship open and wouldn't be with anyone if that was the problem. I said that our relationship ended as soon as she asked to open it. I just didn't know it at the time. She was bawling and people's eyes started running over to our table. I just said that I'd return her stuff within a few days and left while she was face down on the table, her friend consoling her. So yeah, I'm done. For the first time in 4 years I'm single, and for the first time in a year or so, I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I'm gonna follow the majority of the advice given to me and enjoy my youth. I won't be actively hunting for a relationship for a while, but if the right one comes along, then lucky me. Thanks to everyone who took time to write comments. Thanks to the people that DM'd me and provided valuable advice. I did get a blast of messages and calls from my ex, begging for another chance. I thought it'd be satisfying to see it, but honestly, it was just sad. I ignored the messages, left my phone at home and went to a friend's place to hang out, without having to ask her if she's cool with it. I'm really gonna enjoy being single. Edit. Guys, I really love the support. Thank you so much. I'm reading every single comment. I'm not replying right now, but I assure you, I'm reading all of them. Story 2. She cheated, I left, but she's not letting go. Pretty much what the title says, but obviously I should provide background to the situation. Okay, I've been with my ex-girlfriend, Vanessa, for the past 5 years. We met at a convention for one of our hobbies, started just talking about the hobby itself, with no other goal in mind. We started dating when she confessed that she liked me more than a friend, and it was mutual. I just kept quiet because I didn't really want to ruin the friendship and I wasn't really expecting her to be interested in me. Dated for about 2 years steadily before we moved in together. Our families meshed well together, our friends mingled, and we all became one big mixed social circle. That was a surprise because we both come from very different financial backgrounds, me being raised in a poor, middle-class kind of finances, Vanessa and her friends and family being really, really rich. Everything was great for the past 3 years, except when she cheated. Vanessa cheated on me with some random guy. I don't even honestly know why, nor do I really care to find out. I found out a month ago because I took her phone to call up a friend since mine was inoperable at the time. First thing I saw when I unlocked her phone was a message popping up about how some guy loved that ass bouncing on him the day before. I'll spare you the emotional turmoil I briefly went through, and I'll admit I just put the phone down, told her I was leaving without telling why, and I could see she was confused about me just going out like that. I just didn't want to do something I'd regret, because I did have anger issues in the past, but have mostly worked past those. She probably found out I saw that message, but since my phone was still in the apartment, there was no one way to get in touch with me. I literally just walked around the city for hours until I was so tired that I felt like falling asleep on my feet. Went over to a friend's place, stayed with them over the night, and the day after I got over to our apartment and talked it out with Vanessa. I told her I wasn't going to be in a relationship with a cheater, and that was that. I didn't ask for details, how it happened, who exactly the other guy was. I just wanted to go away from it all. She wasn't looking to oblige me, crying hysterically, blaming herself, hitting herself in the head because she was, and I quote, a stupid cheating CNT, begging me not to go, that she would do anything to try and fix this. The whole thing just made me even more uncomfortable to be around her, and there was a scene in front of our apartment when our neighbors came out to see what the noise was about. I did manage to get away, but it was unnecessarily complicated with drama. She made her choice to FK someone else, I made mine to break up because I don't want to be with a cheater. I managed to take away most of my things from the apartment when she wasn't there and hoped that would be that. But if it was, I wouldn't be here now. I mentioned before that Vanessa and her family are rich. She's now using her, and I presume her family's, money and not giving me a single day of some kind of reminder of her. Either I'm getting gifts sent my way at my workplace, or I'm getting letters in the mail and packages. Or she just hangs out with one friend of hers somewhere where she knows I am. I have no idea how she knows, and this is making me feel paranoid because I keep thinking she might have someone following me, trying to get me to talk with her. I have tried talking with local police on the matter, but have been told in not so many words that her family would make sure nothing would be done about it. Props to the cop for being honest about it, but they could do their job instead. I want to heal. I want to move on. But she's not letting me, and I don't have enough money to just move away somewhere else. She's already blocked or ignored on every possible media I have, but strangely enough she's not trying to get to me through them anyway. Friends on the other hand are. Every friend she's got, and she has plenty, has asked me to just meet up with her, hear her out or something else like that. But I'm so tired of that. I'm tired of this kind of shit. I just want it over with. I don't want to hear her speak. I don't want to see her. It won't do me any good. So please, can anyone here help me? How do I move on from someone who won't let me and who has absolutely both the time and money to keep doing it indefinitely? Do I give her that one meeting she wants from me? Would that even help? I'm not from the USA or some other first world country, so I pretty much have no legal recourse. TLDR ex-girlfriend cheated on me and I broke up with her, but she's not letting go and has the time and money to waste on trying to get me to talk to her about us, even though there is no us anymore. How to move on from someone who's not letting you do so. Update. There was tons of advice in the thread and a lot of support for the shitty situation I was in, and I want to thank you all for trying your best to help me. In the end, I set up a meeting with my ex's mother, whom I'd mentioned in one of my posts when I was replying to people about this whole thing. It was roughly a week after I'd made my previous post. She knew why we were broken up, and completely backed up my decision to break up with her daughter, seeing how much it hurt me. It meant a lot to me, and I guess I never really appreciated her mom being so friendly with me while we were together. I explained to her what had been going on since the breakup. She only knew that the ex was trying to get back together with me, but she didn't know about her showing up at any place I went out, her friends badgering me, or the letters and gifts being sent my way constantly. I came close to tearing up because of how much support she showed me at the time. At one point she even hugged me and kissed the top of my forehead like I was a little kid again. I felt both embarrassed and grateful. I just wanted space and time to heal from this shit, and I think she understood as much. All in all, after we got that out in the open, she promised me she would get her daughter back into line, to leave me alone and stop harassing me. We talked a bit more after that, but went our own ways soon after. The ex's harassment continued for a day or two and then it completely stopped. No messages, no calls, no sudden appearances where I was hanging out or anything. 3 weeks out and nothing from her so far. It's been bliss. It's like this huge weight just rolled straight off me. It's easier to breathe and I'm not even looking at the door of someplace I'm hanging out at to see if it's the ex or one of her friends. I didn't even notice that myself. My friends were the ones who brought it up to me. So yeah, this is 1,000 times better than what it was like before. I did talk with my ex's mom one more time over the phone and I thanked her for whatever she did with her daughter, and she was saying it was the least she could do. Near the end of the conversation, she said it would probably be for the best if we didn't speak anymore. It would let me fully move on from this, but that she was sorry it had come to this and that they wouldn't see me coming over for Christmas. We said our goodbyes and that was that. So that's it, the harassment stopped. I'm feeling great and life's really looking better nowadays. One more time, thank you all guys and gals for trying to help me out from the shitpile I found myself in. TLDR met up with ex's mom, told her about what was going on. She got the ex to stop and haven't heard anything from the ex since 3 weeks ago, and life is good. Story 3. My partner doesn't know I found out she is cheating on me again. So my partner cheated on me over a year ago for over a year and I found out. Trying to give her a second chance yada. Then while on a trip found out that she is still talking bad about me to the guy and cheating on me with him still. Now she doesn't know that I'm planning on just moving out, no notice, no nothing. We have a big trip planned for September, that I've already set up to be cancelled, and I'm going to use that money instead to move and get my new place. She thinks she was sly and that I wouldn't pay attention, but I did. So now she's going to come back to a nice empty place and everything I bought on my credit card or debit card is coming with me. The couch, random IKEA stuff. So Reddit, am I the asshole for doing this or not? And throwaway because she checks my phone to make sure I'm not up to anything so she knows my Reddit. Update. So first off, sorry that it took me so long to update. My plan ended up going even better than I thought it could. My partner had a trip for work come up about a week before our big vacation was supposed to be. She would be gone for 3 days. I had movers ready to load the truck and got a new position for work that even got a chunky raise. Despite thoughts of just being a total monster, I was an adult to a degree. After checking with a lawyer to make sure everything was good, I took everything I owned and bought. We did not live together long enough for unmarried partner ownership laws to apply in our state. She returned to a half-empty kitchen with no couch, TVs, table, or bed. Now I couldn't give details before, but this person had been cheating on me for the last 21 over 2 years. She had been sleeping with her boss who I was close with and considered a friend. She left herself signed into Facebook on my laptop one day. I thought it would be amusing to troll a little bit and message some people some memes and whatnot. Well, when I clicked on who I thought was my friend to message, the chat log right off the bat told me otherwise. After spending 3 hours reading everything, seeing all the lies and what's been happening. When she got home, confronted her and she broke down and admitted it was all a mistake and has been trying to break it off. I know I am an idiot for giving her another chance. I talked with my ex-friend and told him to stay the hell away from her and some other choice words. Fast forward a year and one day she left her phone at home by accident. Being a terrible person, I wanted to just see if she had been honest and wasn't still cheating. Sure enough, 4 text messages in and she's sending him a naked bathroom shot. The thing that hurt me the most was her telling him how I do all these terrible things to her and say things to her. I did everything I could for this woman. I cooked dinner every night even if I worked 12 hours, got snacks and treats for her all night and filled her drinks, did 90% of the cleaning and chores, all for her to make me seem like a monster to someone who I really looked up to and considered a friend. So to the point that you Reddit monsters all care about. I left her a note on the door. I explained I was gone and I did not want any more contact. I took everything I bought and owned. Told her that I found out she had been lying and was still cheating. Told her I would keep it to myself and both of us move on. She decided that she wanted to go to war. Went on socials, calling friends and family telling them I left, and did all kinds of things. She did not know that I copied every log that day on Facebook and copied everything from her phone. Turned over proof to the HR department of her and her boss's affair, including all the logs of them admitting and bragging about things they did in the office that were against all kinds of policies. Her boss has been demoted and is being transferred. She has been demoted. Her own family is on my side now after I showed them everything. I told her to leave it alone and now she has nothing left. Her family isn't talking to her, and an empty house that she can't afford. Favorite quote: I love the smell of napalm in the morning. She messed around and found out. But thank you to the few who chatted with me and helped me not feel so alone. The last few days of waking up in my new place and figuring out what I want to do now without that cloud hanging over me have been so freeing. Story 4. Wife cheated on me. I was recently out of the country for work, and when I was checking the security alerts on my cameras, I noticed the pool camera was alerting a lot after like 2 a.m. I checked the footage and my wife had the neighbor husband and wife couple and were drinking and having a good time. This went on for hours and they got hammered drunk. It ended up with them all getting naked in the pool and my wife and the neighbor's wife going at it, with of course eventually the man getting involved. She pushed him away a couple of times, then eventually just went with it. We have been together 12 years now with 2 kids, 10 and 5. We do not have an open relationship, but she is into chicks as well, and we have had the discussion that I would be open to a 3-way with another girl, but we needed to discuss it beforehand, and when it does happen there needs to be permission from both sides each time or it is cheating. Needless to say, there was no pre-discussion on this, and certainly with not another guy involved. I was many hours ahead in time zones and called immediately when I saw it and woke her up in bed. I screamed at her for cheating and hung up. I was too angry and hurt to be any kind of verbal. The next day after she sobered up, she started trying to call and I sent her to voicemail because I knew I wouldn't be able to articulate anything, so I talked with her a bit over text. At first she was like, yeah, we talked about us hooking up with the neighbor girl and this was just her getting drunk and getting things started. She says she hardly remembers any of it and how bad they were all falling down and staggering. I believe it. It felt like she didn't mean it to happen but was expecting me to react differently and be into it. She said she brought her to the pool because she wanted it to be on camera for me as a show, which I also do believe. In her drunk mind she thought I would be into it. She flat out said she doesn't remember the guy being involved at all, and if he was, that was a mistake that was not supposed to happen. Then she was like, well, we are totally going to have a 3-way when you get back, just me, her and the neighbor's wife. At that point I was like, and I might call her later. In the background I am freaking out and I am supposed to be out of the country for another 5 weeks. I got a hold of my chain of command and they were super supportive and I was able to get booked to return the next day. It would have been that day other than there were no flights. I had to leave the smaller city I was in and drive a couple of hours to the larger one with the airport and turn in my rental and check into the hotel there. After I got settled in I called her and we talked. This was the next day by then for her, and she was now completely sober and non-hungover and I think was finally grasping how upset I was. I had also by this point changed the passwords on the security camera, my email and other stuff I knew she had it for, and moved most of the money out of our joint account to one she doesn't have access to. I left $1,000 in there so if she or the kids needed anything they would be fine, but I didn't know how she was going to react and if she was going to clean me out and run off with the kids. I wanted to have enough to be able to afford a lawyer and not be stranded. At this point I called her and we talked. She was much more remorseful and upset and swears it wasn't planned and didn't mean for anything to happen, and she was sorry and it has never happened before and will never happen again. I asked her if she actually loved me and if she wanted a divorce. She broke down and said no, she doesn't want a divorce and she does love me. I told her we would talk more when I got back in 12 hours. I made it back and she and the kids were at my daughter's softball game. I unpacked and showered and crawled into bed trying to catch a nap since I had not slept in about 36 hours at this point. They got back and I spent some time helping get my kids bathed and in bed. Then I went back down to the bedroom and told her tonight I didn't want to talk about anything because I was too tired both physically and emotionally. And we could just talk about it in the morning, but for tonight we'll just try and pretend nothing is wrong. She was okay with that and then she initiated sex with me and I went with it. I was honestly curious if I was going to be revolted or put off by it, but now it was fine. Then in the morning we woke up and did it again, then got up, got the kids ready and took them to school. Once we got back we sat down and had a heart-to-heart. The gist of it was, does she really want to stay married? Because I have one foot at the door right now and this would be the time to do it. We can start planning it out right now, or we could discuss what happened and the effects it was going to have. She was adamant that she did not want a divorce, she was sorry and it was the only time anything like this ever happened or would. I believed her, so I continued with the discussion. I had jotted some high points that had to be discussed and some things that were non-negotiable. 1. Was not drinking hard alcohol for her again. Like ever. She can't handle it and loses all control when she does. I was always afraid deep down this would happen and it did. Next was the two-way consent between both of us before we bring another person in for sex, and honestly at this point I don't know if I will be down for that with the neighbor's wife. After that I let her know exactly how bad it hurt me and broke my trust and absolutely destroyed my self-confidence, as well as is going to make all my insecurities way worse. It makes it doubly bad because the neighbors are 10 years younger, we are in our early 42nds. To make it worse for me I have a dad bod, and not hung at all. The neighbor guy is still active duty military, quite a bit taller, super ripped and fit, and extremely attractive for a guy, plus he is hung like a horse and I most certainly am not. Dealing with all that is going to be really hard for me to get over if I ever can, and I made that clear. She may do everything right from here on and we may still get a divorce if I can't shake it. Next, we needed marriage counseling, which she was on board with. At that point I asked her if she still wanted to try and continue and try, or was any of that not worth it to her and we could start the divorce talk. I also told her before she answers she needs to be 120% committed to this and is going to have to work a lot harder to prove it to me because I am going to be a paranoid, probably bitter wreck over this. She agreed. All this started on Sunday morning for me and today is Saturday, and so far I am optimistic. She has been very loving and affectionate and is putting forth more effort than she has in years. We have never had a dead bedroom, but we had gotten to a point where once a week was the norm and she never intimated anymore. It was up to me, and while she did shoot me down from time to time, it wasn't any more than you would expect from a couple that has 2 kids and been together for 12 years. I had also brought this up in our discussion, how it seemed it was all on me for the affection and I was the one putting in all the effort in the relationship. Previously in minor arguments she would throw out there, well, just divorce me then. I am usually much cooler-headed and would just blow it off, but a big weakness of mine is I am not a good communicator and hadn't had the talk with her on how much some of this stuff bothered me, which I did the other day in our heart-to-heart. Since then though it has been almost like a honeymoon, which is wonderful. I am just worried if it will last. Also deep in my mind, is she doing this out of guilt and isn't really into me, or did the excitement of banging a younger fit dude get her going, which also worries me. We still need to have the conversation of what to do about them. I haven't wanted to talk to them yet, at first out of fear that I would lose control and get violent, but now I am more concerned about the awkwardness of it. Our kids play together and we hang out quite a bit. I do need to at least let them know I am not going to turn them in. They are probably sweating bullets on that since I am a GS employee and he is on active duty. I could get him a dishonorable discharge and completely mess his life up. I am also not sure which way I should go with the threesome with his wife and mine. My brain tells me it would be awkward at this point and probably not help anything. But then my emotions are telling me it might help me get over the gap between me and my wife, as well as be some nice revenge sex on her husband so he gets a taste of what I felt as well. Petty, I know. Our first counseling session is still like 2 weeks away and just really needed to vent and get some different perspectives on it.